Mrs. Johnston Beck for Knowledge and Social Studies time. Can you name the three tribes that we have already learned about in this unit? That's right. Did you say the Lakota Sioux, the Wampanoag, and the Lenape? Today you will hear the names of several other tribes, such as Pueblo, Hopi, Iroquois, Navajo, and Zuni Pueblo. These tribes also lived in North and South America. They lived in specific regions of the United States, such as Northeast, Southeast, Southwest, Pacific Northeast, where different Native American tribes have lived. Can you name the region in which the Lakota Sioux lived? The Lakota Sioux lived in the Great Plains. How about the Wampanoag? Where did the Wampanoag live? The Wampanoag lived in current day Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And what about the Lenape? Where did the Lenape live? The Lenape lived in the eastern woodlands of the Northeast, also known as current day New York, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. The other four tribes you are going to hear about today, the Pueblo, the Hopi, Navajo, and Zuni Pueblo, lived in the western part of the United States, which is now Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. Let's recall, where did the Wampanoag live? Did you say Massachusetts? New England? Where did the Lenape live? The eastern woodlands, Northeast, or New York, New Jersey, and Delaware? How about the Lakota Sioux? The Lakota Sioux lived in the Great Plains. We are still working in Unit 6 on Native Americans. Today's lesson is 7, a Native American alphabet. Listen carefully to learn about the various items used by different Native American tribes. Long before you or me, Native Americans were here, you see. Many tribes in different places, different names, and different faces. A is for adobe bricks that made Pueblo houses. B is for, sorry, Mrs. Johnston forgot to move the slide down. B is for buffalo that galloped across the plains. C is for canoes that drifted on silent rivers. D is for drum songs sung long ago. E is for elders who led their tribe in prayer. F is for feasts made up of clams and corn. G is for great tales told with totem poles. H is for Hopi ovens that baked warm bread. I is for an Iroquois runner on the trail. J is for juniper berries used to dye tan blankets. K is for Kachina dancers who hoped for rain. L is for long houses built of logs and bark. M is for moccasins made of leather and beads. N is for Navajo, who herded flocks of sheep. O is for ornaments, which made clothing more beautiful. P is for powwows held now and then. Q is for quills from porcupines used for weaving. R is for rugs woven on a loom. S is for salmon cooked in a woven basket. T is for teepees made with buffalo hides. U is for under. The Navajo slept under hogan roofs. V is for venison stew made for Iroquois travelers. W is for Wampanoag Wheatus set near the coast. X is for X's, which decorated tribal dress. Y is for young children who listened to stories. Z is for Zuni Pueblo, who crafted water jars. Long before you and me, Native Americans were here, you see, many tribes in different places, different names, and different faces. Remember, a tribe is a group of similar people who share common ancestors, customs, and laws. A is for adobe bricks that made Pueblo houses. What tribe did I just name here? Did you say Pueblo? The Pueblos are a Native American tribe that lived in these houses made of stone and sun dried bricks called adobe. B is for buffalo that galloped across the plains. Long ago, many buffalo roamed the Great Plains and were hunted for food and other things by different Native American tribes living in this vast grassy area of our country. C is for canoes that drifted on silent rivers. How did Native Americans travel on the water? They used a canoe, a long, narrow boat made from long, hollowed out logs or the barks of trees. D is for drums, songs sung long ago. E is for elders who led their tribe in prayer. An elder is an older person who is a leader. F is for feast, made up of clams and corn. Clams are a type of seafood. G is for great tales told with totem poles. Totem poles were carved from logs by certain tribes to tell a story, like sculptures. H is for Hopi ovens that baked warm bread. What tribe did I just name here? Hopi. Some Native American tribes cooked their food on an open fire, like we saw earlier with the clams and corn. The Hopi tribe baked their bread in this kind of oven. I is for an Iroquois runner on the trail. Native Americans traveled on foot, on horseback, or in canoes. This runner from the Iroquois tribe is very fast. J is for juniper berries, used to dye tan blankets. Juniper berries grow on trees and were used to color the blankets. K is for Kachina dancers who hoped for rain. Different tribes perform different dances and ceremonies to ask their gods to make things happen or to thank their gods. L is for long houses built of long logs and bark. Several Iroquois families who lived in each longhouse, which had little apartments in it and was about the size of 5 classrooms. M is for moccasins made of leather and beads. Moccasins are shoes worn by many Native American tribes. Some of them were decorated with beads and feathers to make them more colorful. N is for Navajo, who herded flocks of sheep. What tribe did I just name here? Navajo. O is for ornaments, which made clothing more beautiful. Native American tribes often decorated their clothing with beads. P is for powwows held now and then. In the past, when a group of Native Americans gathered for a meeting, it was called a powwow. Today, when Native Americans meet to dance, sing, and honor Native American cultures, it may also be called a powwow. Q is for quills from porcupines used for weaving. R is for rugs woven on a loom. A loom is the wooden frame, and the rugs would be woven on them using thick strings, such as wool. S is for salmon cooked in a woven basket. If these baskets were put directly over the fire, they would burn. Instead, Native Americans dropped hot stones into a basket of water to make it boil and then put their food in the basket to cook. T is for teepees made with buffalo hides. The hides are the skins of the animal, like Pueblo houses and longhouses. Teepees were homes for some Native Americans. What do you think is in this picture? U is for under. The Navajo slept under Hogan roofs. What tribe did I just name here? I named the Navajo. V is for venison stew, made for Iroquois travelers. This man from the Iroquois tribe is eating venison or deer meat stew from his bowl. W is for Wampanoag Weetus, set near the coast. What tribe did I just name here? The Wampanoag. What are the boats in the pictures called? Canoes. X is for X's, which decorated tribal dress. Y is for young children who listened to stories. Z is for Zuni Pueblo, who crafted water jars. What tribe did I just name here? That's right, Zuni Pueblo. What are some of the different foods eaten by Native Americans that you heard about in this read aloud? Did you say bread, clams, corn, salmon, venison stew? Did you get one, a few, all? What are some things Native Americans use to make their homes? Native Americans used buffalo hides, logs and bark, and adobe bricks to make homes. Did you answer any with any of those? How are the homes the same? Some of them used some of the same materials, like some all had types of logs or sticks. How are they different? Some used bricks, some had buffalo hides. What are some of the things that Native Americans did that you heard about in this read aloud? Did you say they had powwows, listened to stories, hoped for rain? How about hunted buffalo, cooked food, played drums, built homes, made clothing, baskets, water jars, rugs, and blankets, herded sheep? We heard a lot of different things in our read aloud that Native Americans did. Why are there so many different types of homes, foods, and ways of travel? Did you say because of where they lived? There are so many different Native American tribes, and they lived in very different geographical locations. I hope you enjoyed our story today on the Native American alphabet and learning what each letter represented for the Native Americans.